Hello. So today I'm trying a new method. I don't have headphones in for today, so hopefully you can hear me. But I'm doing the video today about the Honduras documentary and the questions that went along with it. So the questions that were in the prompts were, how are the politics of the frontier making based upon, as well as how is progress defined. And then the third question, which was the most interesting for me, and the thing that I took away from the most was how is extractivism affecting the communities in Honduras as we see it in the Fault Lines documentary. So to get started, how with the politics, with the frontier making and how it's based upon. So what I took from the film was the politics were mainly based upon the company of DESA, right? And or Desa, I don't know, I can't remember how it was pronounced, but basically that was the main company that was profiting from the frontier making, right? Which was basically the dam itself and other, compounds. Basically, that's the best word I can put for it. That originally had their own armed security, and then due to the uprising of the fear from the community itself of the fact that guards would be armed, eventually those guards became disarmed, and so in turn, and the military ended up coming in to that one specific compound where they tried to get answers, and they didn't really have anything, but the military was there in full force, basically protecting the compound. And so one of the things with that immediately pops into my head, and I may be wrong when I think of this, but this is what comes to my mind at least, is it would be with the armed drug dealers and drug gangs and smugglers, right? Because they have, or they carry that sort of, I guess you could call it superiority trait. I mean, in Mexico, for example, right? They aren't. They aren't quite as, I mean, they are dangerous, but however, it's not, the government doesn't interfere quite as much as the US, at least from my point of view, they don't. The US has cracked down on a lot of drug dealing and stuff like that, and the drug gangs and stuff like that around the Mexican border, whereas, that's more prominent in, Central America. So, that's the thought that comes to my head, is because it was just the enabling really of the government to enable Desa or however you pronounce it to one build the dam in that valley, right, and take the water away from away from the local communities that wanted it back. But then also you are instilling fear into the community itself with the fact that you can't screw with these people, because even though they're messing with your own community and they came in here after you already here. So that was kind of crazy, and quite frankly it disgusted me with the fact that I didn't realize that these companies were doing that, and they were instilling fear in the community itself. So that was what I took away from that first question, and the politics and stuff related to that, because at least here in the US, we do have the freedom of speech, and they claim that they have it in Honduras, right, where they claim you can have activists, right, that go out and they can speak for it. However, the company won't like it, and then they'll create a hit list for you, and then it turns out with, she ended up being killed. So big whoops there. So I mean, hopefully that ended up changing. I can't remember when the film was made or whatever, so hopefully it did change, and hopefully something was made of it. So the next question, relating to progress and how it was defined. And so I couldn't really find a definition in the film. However, I did go out and try to find a definition of my own, that what I would relate to the movie. And so basically what I found was that progress was defined as forward or onward movement toward a destination. And so the way I took with that definition is basically the progress that was shown in the documentary was more of the progress of the locals trying to get and to try to get in an agreement with the government as well as DESA. to hopefully, stop building the dam and then get their river back, and restore their culture and their community, hopefully back to what it once was before Dessa came in and basically decimated the entire community. And I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily that they made progress on that, at least from what I took in the movie earlier on, at least. And so, I mean, there would still need to be progress that would have needed to have been made, but they, at least the attempt was there. So that's what I took from number 2 in the prompt. In relation to number 3, which is the extractivism affecting the communities in Honduras in the documentary, I saw extractivism appear multiple times over in the documentary. And one of the first ones was that these innocent citizens and activists that were rightfully speaking out were being killed for speaking their own mind. And I know the government may or may not have had a different system of how you can speak out in the freedom of speech with that, but that was one of the ways that I took for that. And then as well as the trust in the government, and between the government and its citizens rather, were being ruined as well. And I mean, the big thing of the extractivism in all of this was them trying to make the dam. And so the extractivism of trying to make the dam, right, and trying to take that natural resource of the river away, right, which was, they made reference to the bloodline, right? The fact that they were taking that away ruined a lot of the communities, and some of those ways, as well as some other ones I will mention in a second, those were the after effects of the fact that there was that extractivism that occurred with the dam portion itself, and those were the after effects of the citizens being killed, as well as the government and the citizens' trust between each other were being ruined as well. But another one as well that I noticed as well as an after effect from the extractivism of the dam itself was the fact that the communication and the agreements between the government and its citizens had also significantly diminished to almost nothing as well. I mean, there was no trust, there was no communication really, there was nothing really being done, or no, what's the word I'm thinking? Basically just, agreements, like what I mentioned. I was trying to find another word for it, but basically the agreements between, coming to a common purpose of, well, you don't like this and you don't like this, so let's come to, a compromise. That's the word that I was thinking of, a compromise of, what each side wants and what would be best for both sides in this situation. So I really enjoyed the documentary. I enjoyed watching it, and hopefully, these answers that I gave, were they were sufficient enough for the prompts that were given. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I certainly enjoyed watching the documentary. Thank you very much.